Hello, everyone, and welcome to Circuit String's Demo Day. I believe we are in our 7th or 8th edition, so it's really exciting to be offering once again this event. Today, we're going to be celebrating the work of the XR Development with Unity graduates, and we're super excited to have a special guest with us, Juan Rubio from Pixotope. So I would love to know if you're there, if you can hear me, if you can see me, so that we get this AV test out of the way, no tech issues, and we can get the show on the road. So it's always great to say at these events that there is about a 7-second delay between the YouTube comments and until they arrive in the live streaming platform. So I have to wait a little bit to see the comments, but they've started to come in. Brilliant. Hello, Pat. Wonderful. You can see and hear me. Thank you, Catherine. You as well. And I see Dennison had already sent a message. Can't wait. Amazing. Thank you so much. So I'm Luciana Fortes, and I'm your host for the day, but you can call me Lucy. I'm currently based out of Calgary, Alberta. So I would love to know where you're tuning in from. Usually we have students and attendees from all over the world, and it's always really exciting to see that. Hello, David. Wonderful to see you. Brilliant. I know Andy's from New York. I think David is also in Montreal. So got some East Coasters there. Wonderful. Hey, Pat from Houston, Texas. We have a lot of students from Texas. I think it's pretty popular. And what about you, Catherine? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear more. I was living in Vancouver, but recently moved to Calgary, and I'm originally from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So, and we have lots of students like that as well. Oh, Toronto, Canada. Awesome. That's excellent, Catherine. Great to hear it. All right, so I will let everyone continue to introduce themselves. Feel free to continue to use the chat function to, to interact, to make comments. I'm really looking forward to hearing from y'all. Yay, we have Jacob from Houston. Hey, Jacob, one of our alumni, and Sonia as well from Germany. So wonderful to see you all tuning in. Love it. All right, so without further ado, let's get this show on the road. I'm sure you were dying to see the student projects. Let me give you a snapshot of what today's going to look like. So I'm going to start us off with a brief introduction, about 10 minutes. And then we're going to have our students present. So each student will talk about their project, show a couple of slides, or give an explanation. And then we'll show their video demo. And then we'll get to, the audience can ask about 1 to 2 questions, which they'll answer. And then Juan will give his expert feedback. So that will be pretty exciting. And then we'll have a presentation on the class projects from the instructors of the XR Development with Unity class. So these projects were done collaboratively. Everybody pitched in and thought of an idea of what they could do. And so together came up with a super fun project. Now at the end, we'll do a prize draw and wrap up, and that's it. After the demo day, we are having a post-show discussion in VR, but you can participate with or without a headset. I definitely encourage you to come. It's super fun. And I'll be sharing the instructions at the end of the event. Great. So Michelle from Germany as well. Great. Michelle, do you and Sonia know each other? And Denison, oi from Brazil. Tudo bem, Denison? Wonderful. All right. So let me introduce myself. As I mentioned, I'm Luciana Fortes, if you can call me Lucy. I'm the Student Experience Coordinator at CircuitStream, or the Fun Guru, Great Experience Specialist. You can take your pick. I've worked in education for over 7 years, and my fun fact is that both of my degrees are in dance. In 2016, I danced in the opening ceremony of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. So that's a bit about me. Oi, Denison, tudo bem? Muito prazer. And then for our expert for the day, Juan Rubio, we're so excited to have him with us. He's a Pixotope project specialist and evangelist. He's been an evangelist for Pixotope and CG supervisor on Alter Ego on Fox. He's worked on 10 feature films, including Matrix, Reloaded, Revolutions, AAA games, and in Enterprise. And he has worked on AR projects since 2011 in various VR projects. So you can contact him at juan@pixotope.com. So needless to say, that's a pretty impressive resume right there. All right, so what about us here at Circus Train? For those of you who don't know, so we were founded in 2015 when we noticed that there was a gap in the educational world in terms of providing training to the next set of XR professionals and enthusiasts. Since then, we've trained over 40,000 learners, which I always love to say. And a pretty exciting thing as well is that we are a Unity certified training and channel partner. So partners are approved based on their expertise, focus on quality education, and commitment to providing the highest level of training possible. All of our courses prepare you in addition to receiving certifications from Circuit Train. As you can see, we are a global team of industry experts passionate about XR education. So we come from all over the world, just like our students. And even though we have a variety of different backgrounds, we're all passionate about one thing, and that is XR. Hey, Steph is tuning in. Hello, Steph, with this signature welcome. Great to see you here. Here we have a snapshot of just the plethora of students that we have the pleasure to train. They come from different companies, and we have some pretty big names in there. Facebook, YouTube, Nike, Hershey, Deloitte. So pretty exciting. And I always like to note out that it's great to see the different applicabilities of XRs, whether you're from education, entertainment, training, manufacturing. There's so much that you can do. All right, so what about our students today? Where are they coming from? What did they learn in the course? So the XR Development with Unity course is 10 weeks long. It has 80 hours of instruction, and it's a live online course. So in this course, students learn to create experiences in XR using C# programming language. So they learn the different applicabilities. They use some physics. There's so much that they learn, and you're going to be seeing the result of that today. All right, so without further ado, I can't believe I'm early. I did good in that intro. I was objective. All right, so without further ado, let's start us off. Today, first we have Elias Jimenez with Venture Out. Venture Out is an exercise-based game that leverages body movement to complete activities. Let's get Eli up on stage. Hey, Eli.
Hey, am I on?
You're on.
Awesome. Thank you, Luciana, for being a rock star as you are on this and keeping everybody on, on the right track on this front. So I'm based out of Miami Beach. I left a career about 17 years. I come from a non-technical background. Most of my career has been in project, program, and change management. But I had an aha moment back in late January, early February, and my brain just went on fire when I entered a proof of concept of somebody was sharing a virtual reality experience. And it was strong enough that I decided to leap and to get to understand or want to understand a little bit more about this technology. And so in the matter of 10 weeks, I go from knowing nothing to knowing a bit more than I did previously. What I wanted to get out of the course is being able to understand the process of creating a virtual reality experience. I wanted to understand some of the lingo and the developmental tools and some possibilities of what could potentially be created with this technology. And so the thought is, if I could understand the technology enough, could I apply it in some way, shape, or form that could enhance the human experience? And so, keep in mind as you're considering whether or not to go down this track, I come from a non-technical background. This provided me a great opportunity to get to learn a bit about what you could possibly do on this. Luciana, could you go to the next slide, please?
Yes, and thanks for saying that. I mean, so many students come in as beginners and they think, oh, everybody else is an expert, but it's totally not true.
Yeah, so the project, and I think it's important to actually have a project as you're going through the course, because then you could apply some of those learnings. And I think the other side, it helps make something that's intangible, because part of the learning process is seeing what progress you're making. If you could apply it to a project, it's very tangible to see, okay, a week later, what you've been able to do and enhance and add to the project. The next slide, please. Venture Out is a moving app. And when I think of various applications of the technology, the verticals that that I think of or, can you leverage it for creating deeper connections, having folks move a little bit more, create unique experiences, and a few other. The one that I decided to focus in on was this idea of enabling or giving people an interesting way to move more in an immersive experience. The challenge was straight up front was, I don't come from a technical background, so there's a tsunami of new information that's coming your way. And so that's from a coding perspective, that is from a tool perspective. So there was a lot of newness coming. So I don't want to focus so much, because even with a lot of the newness, there's tremendous opportunity to accelerate learnings or to expand concepts and ideas. And the thing with creativity is it's a convergence of two disparate disciplines to create something new. And so I was all gung-ho to dive deep in this. The other are the technical challenges. I don't have, as mentioned earlier, I don't have a technical background. The least favorite part is trying to get my gear up and running. But you'll get over it at some point. You'll learn some of the tricks eventually, but there's a lot of, things that fail from a coding perspective. But what I did want to focus on is this idea of accelerators. And I think this is what was very helpful for me, is this idea of mindset and awareness. And when I think of mindset, I think of having clarity and objectives, and the setting of intentions. So I prepared myself mentally on what this roller coaster of a ride would be, because it's not something that is going to come, and it didn't come, and I'm still very early in the journey on this, but is that, part of the learning process is frustration. And I think the more that you're, being aware that what you're going to go in and experience makes things a little bit easier to manage. And I think that's just general life principle. The more that you're aware of different things, once you're experiencing something, that you realize that is part of the process, and we'll get into that a little bit shortly. But I knew that I made a commitment to myself that there was going to be a lot to absorb, and I needed to really make the commitment that I would, have a lot of deliberate practice in absorbing the material, because it's a effort, right? There's so much information. Sometimes you're saying, well, I'm not moving fast enough in acquiring the knowledge. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But there's tons of trial and error on this front, but if you keep at it, guaranteed you're going to show progress. And I'm kind of a bit surprised where I am 10 weeks ago versus now. So, and the other bit is this idea of mindset. And this is a critical piece that influences, what we think about our talents and capabilities. And, for folks that have read Carol Dweck's book, I would recommend his mindset, and whether you have a fixed or a growth mindset. And, I think it's important that you do have a growth mindset, because, your abilities could be developed regardless of what your innate talents may be. And I think it's about leveling up, and guaranteed you'll learn and you'll be quite surprised as what you could do on there from a knowledge acquisition perspective. And the other one is being aware of your emotional journey, and as well as understanding the learning process. And this was an emotional journey because there's tons of frustration that goes with it. I come from a no background in coding. You will need to be patient. You will likely get frustrated, but this is part of the learning process. And it was easier for me to understand that I was going to get into, and I would be frustrated, that once I was in that emotional state, I was saying, well, that's just part of it, right? The other bit is this concept of chunking down, right? Because this is massive. And so rather than being overwhelmed with the amount of information that comes your way, I focused on a few things that I wanted to focus on each week and that I wanted to introduce into my project. And so that was very, very helpful. And the recordings, and it's one of those things that there's a lot of repetition that will be required, and moving things from, the conscious brain to the unconscious is like riding a bike. Right after a while, you get a hang of it and things start coming. But the beginning stages, you're kind of going through the struggle process on there. And the other thing that helped along the way was having these little wins. And one way to, illustrate what those little wins are, or to make it tangible, is having this project that I developed along the way. Because this helps us from a motivational standpoint to clearly see the enhancements that are making, because sometimes you feel like you're standing still, but it's just a question of like, you're trying to, your brain trying to understand some of the patterns and trying to cement, because you are building new neural pathways to understand, like anything new, right? It takes a little bit of time, but it is, going from a no coding to having experience. And so in the spirit of Reid Hoffman, what you're going to see in this brief video that I'm going to share, it's step 1 of 100. And if you're not embarrassed by the project or what you're going to share, Reid Hoffman would say you waited too long. So in that spirit of kind of failing fast, putting something out there, failing fast, getting input, and let the crowd help drive the development of it. This is the the approach that I'm taking on this, rather than spending 6 months on a project and nobody wanted to, no legs there, and then starting from scratch. So the feedback that's sought is, would you encourage further development of this idea? And I'm testing out a concept. Don't get so hung up so much on the activities. The activities that you're going to see in the video will change. I wanted to apply some of the learnings from the user interface or the user interaction on this. So, but conceptually, creating a space to encourage movement, and this is where I kind of want the feedback is it going in the right direction? Sorry, Luciana, as I was saying, I didn't have you to change a slide on there, or didn't prompt you for that. But what guidance would you give if you were my mentor? What suggestions do you have for an activity to include, one that would require physical movements? There's a tons of next steps on what I need to do on this, but I just want to throw it out there, and any and all feedback as well. And there's no bad feedback, so be candid, because that will help me as somebody that's starting this journey on this. So thank you. And Luciana, video, please. Thank you.
All righty. This is Venture Out.
And one thing, kudos to the Circuit Stream folks, kudos to the instructors, Rexel, Lovistar, Ozzy, and Indica. Thank you.
Yes, shout out to them.
Venture Out, a proof of concept. The focus of this project was to apply some of the learnings from the XR development course that I had completed in September to better understand the mechanics and process in creating a VR experience. Prior program experience was nil. My main focus was on creating user interactions.
Okay, I'm just gonna back it up a bit. Just let it load for a tiny bit. And let's see if that gives us a little bit of buffering. So if you're in the audience, get your questions ready. We're going to be answering about 1 to 2 questions, or if you have some feedback from Eli. So as he mentioned, he would definitely like to know. All righty. Let's try it again.
Venture Out, a proof of concept. The focus of this project was to apply some of the learnings from the XR development course that I had completed in September to better understand the mechanics and process in creating a VR experience. Prior program experience was nil. My main focus was on creating user interactions within the game environment. The game's end state objective will be to foster movement by introducing activities which require an individual to move their bodies via the activities embedded in the environment. Movement is important for our health and longevity. This game can serve as a 15 to 20 minute movement getaway during the day. An outdoor environment was selected for a number of reasons. We've been advised the outdoors is good for you. There is research that claims your nervous system can't tell the difference between real and versus imagined experience. In either case, the nervous system reacts automatically to information that you give it from your forebrain. Your nervous system reacts appropriately to what you think or imagine to be true. So if this is a case, VR could be an interesting application to encourage movement. Some considerations incorporated in this game are interaction with game objects, layer interactions, and use of tags to prompt interaction with game objects, introducing audio, importing assets, and the use of third-party software, implementing collision and trigger detections, grabbing and throwing objects, setting a timer and scoring system, implementing 3D buttons, and spawning items. You'll notice that I use the teleporting feature quite a bit, but that's in the interest of time that we have here. The intention of this game would actually require the player to actually use a different means to move about the environment, which you'll see shortly. The feedback being sought. Would you encourage the further development of this idea? What guidance would you give if you were my mentor? What suggestions do you have for an activity to include? One, of course, that involves movement. This is another form of propulsion. Here, the player is actually swaying their arms back and forth. The faster they move them, the faster they will go. This is the intention of this game, whereby the player needs to put in physical effort to move around the environment.
That's brilliant. A round of applause to Eli. That's awesome, Eli. I mean, as people mentioned in the chat, so many functionalities. Sorry, we had a bit of a lag there. I'm going to see, sometimes we get some tech issues, but I'm going to be sharing all of the videos in our Slack channel so everybody will get a chance to see them again. And then on your end, it should be a bit smoother. Cool. All right, Eli, shall we go through the rest of your slides? Would you like to take questions from the audience?
I'll take questions from the audience. Hopefully I can answer them, but yeah, let's go for the audience. There's a lot of next steps there, so I don't necessarily think it may be more beneficial for the audience to ask questions. And is there anything that I can impart?
Okay, do you want, I can leave the next slide up if you'd like.
Sure, yeah, that'll work. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we have a question from Andy. you've got a great outdoor environment there. Did you create it from scratch, adding every plant and tree?
Yeah, so this was leveraging Gaia Pro 2021. You could spend tons of time developing the landscape, and to me, it was more of what could I develop quickly. And so I look for tools that'll streamline the process. I'm more focused on having something develop that would that I get feedback quickly. And if you're a designer, you could go and create your own type of environment. To me, in the interest, I want to focus on user interaction, less on the landscape. At this point.
Yeah, it looked amazing for sure. So we got a couple more questions, but I'm gonna let you, Eli, answer them via chat because I'd love to get Juan's feedback. So I'll get Juan up on stage. Hey, Juan, thank you for being with us.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. And first, I just want to say, yeah, this is really awesome, especially coming from like a non-technical background. Yeah, that's just the amount of content that you come up with is really cool. And plus, a lot of the things that you're kind of tackling are actually things that are hard to do, which is even more awesome. On top of that, is that you're not afraid to jump into the hard things and start working on those, which is super cool. And it seems like you are actually very successful in what you set out as far as like prototyping a bunch of these user interactions and having those in there and having something that you can iterate on. So yeah, big ups to you. That's super awesome. The things that I would maybe view for like in the short term would be part of it is the some of the locomotion. Because you had your running, but also I think did you have a stick walk as well, or was that actually room scale when the camera was moving forward?
Yeah, there were three forms of locomotion. There was a snap. I didn't do it in the video. Then there's a teleporting, which you saw, and then there's a smooth movement. The intention is to remove all that because I think I really do want to focus on getting people to kind of work up their heart. It just move in general. And so what my thought is leaving only the movement of the hands which would force them as opposed to doing the teleporting at this stage. Yeah.
Then at that point, I would kind of like want to review accessibility, just because the issue is that a fair amount of people, including myself, get motion sick. So any smooth movement actually kind of triggers that. So things you can do to help are like sort of pseudo blinders you've seen in some projects and other things that kind of blacken out the edges that to help with those types of locomotion. Teleportation, usually you don't have to worry about that. But the anything else like any smooth movement, you want to make sure to keep that in mind, because then you're going to be like a huge amount of your player base, you're not going to be able to enjoy your product. So you're going to just want to keep that in mind. And it's just the little things you can add in as options that you can turn off and on for depending on the user that is using it. That, and then also I would be careful just because you're using things like Gaia about performance. So make sure that you're actually hitting your frame rate. Because again, that's something that can might make some people a little bit ill, and then also your user interactions, they're gonna make them feel less snappy and everything. So you just want to make sure that you're hitting your main frame rate, and then do whatever you need to do to hit that. So I'm not too sure if you're hitting performance or not, but that's the other thing. But the fact that you went over things like trying to do things like throwing and all those are actually things that are really hard to get right in VR, and it takes a long time to iterate to get working well. So yeah, this is really awesome. I would definitely continue it, and then use what you have as like a base for running forward and further experimentation as well.
Great. No, appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Great feedback.
Awesome. Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Juan. Congrats again to Eli. That was super impressive. And I will definitely want to see where it goes next. And when you say, oh, it's just an initial process, I mean, it looks so amazing already. We wouldn't even tell. So congrats. Alrighty, so next we have Anna Lee with Octomom. I love that name. A VR cooking game where you can use all your tentacles to multitask and get food to customers as efficiently as possible. Hey, Anna.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome.
Yes, hello. Yeah, thanks for saying my title was good.
It's very fitting to Mom Life, I imagine.
I think I just thought of it like from the spot, and I was like, okay, it's sticking, and I never changed it, so
nice.
yeah, it's there forever.
Yeah, Marvel superhero Octomom
Yeah.
coming to a theater near you.
Yeah. So for this project, my vision was sort of like I'm a beginner at anything XR, so and I'm also not from a technical background like Eli. I'm more of like on the artistic side of things. So this was definitely a challenge. So I wanted to pick something that was easy enough for me, but also challenging. So I chose a cooking game, but I also wanted to implement sort of like a multitasking feature, so you can use all your tentacles in order to cook. That was the idea. I didn't fully get it to work, as you'll see later on, but it's getting there. The main, it took a while to get the actual tentacles to work, like the grabbing function, and then switching to other tentacles to use that. But Rex really helped me out with that. So he was really helpful in my one-on-ones, and I'm really appreciative to him for that.
Shout out to Rexel.
Yeah, shout out to Rex. And yeah, I think that's it. And I just want to say that I learned a lot doing this. Like, I learned a ton in like 8 weeks or so, and it was frustrating at times, but I think I got like really basic interactions to work, and I'm really proud of that. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right.
Show the video.
Great. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try sharing the video here on my screen. Okay. So let's try it out. Okay, let's see. Can you all tell me if you can hear this?
No.
I think it's muted, right? Yeah. I can't hear it either. Okay, so let me try to bring it up on screen. One sec. In the meantime, Anna, is there any specific feedback that you're looking to get?
Oh, right. I just any feedback is good. Would be appreciated very much.
Okie dokie. Okay, so I'm gonna try just uploading it. We'll give it just a quick sec. Aha! Sorry to leave you hanging, Anna. Sorry about that, everyone.
It's okay.
One more time. amazing. Yay. That was awesome. Alrighty, do you want to say a few words or shall we take some questions from the audience?
Questions would be great. Yeah.
All right, so we have a question from Catherine. Nice. Did you make all these 3D models?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I used Maya. Yeah, I just made
that's
really
so beautiful.
fast, really low poly fast models that I just to get things in there. Yeah.
I mean, we can't even tell. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm sure people have a couple more questions, but I'm going to invite Juan to give his feedback.
It's feedback.
Hey.
So this is like super cute and super cool. I'm digging it.
Thank you.
Before I give feedback, I just had a couple questions about your background. I see the CalArts email. So are you more?
I'm like a recent graduate.
Okay.
And I was gonna go into like film and animation, right? I was like moving towards that, but then I got really into VR. I like played with Quill, if you know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really into that, and I was like, it was like super, like it sparked something in me or something, like really cheesy, but yeah. And so I really wanted to be able to interact with my creations, like my animations basically. So
sweet.
yeah, I took this course.
And are you more on the illustration, traditional animation, or a 3D animation, or
more
all?
3D animation.
Okay.
I'm comfortable in both, but I'm mostly 3D animation.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because as far as the project goes, like in your interactions, yeah, definitely like just keep on doubling down and keep on working on those and iterating on it. Like as far as like the backgrounds, like you wouldn't really need to touch much. Like this is pretty awesome. And for performance things, I would look into looking into light baking within just to make sure that you're going to be hitting performance with that. But like something like this is super awesome. I would maybe try to use just because there are other titles out there that are kind of very cooking centric-ish.
Yeah.
I would maybe because of your background, I would maybe double down on your characters some more, and then like possibly have stories with them, or having them to like talking to the player or other things. Like take advantage of your background, and or like even possibly like since you mentioned Quill, there are import pipelines that
I've looked into that as well. It's a little like clunky. I don't know. It's sort of hard to import, right? I mean, I'm really new to it, but
no worries. Yeah, so because that's one option you can do. Another option is just do it like traditional wise. If you're doing a bunch of content, I know it's a dirty word to CalArts people, but like mocap is a good base. Is actually a good like because it's what we use in the like in AAA space or other like we'll actually use like mocap if we have to do a lot of content, and then we'll hand key on top of that to clean it up and make it better and to push it and everything because the case is you're gonna like half the time anyway when you're animating you're acting out in front of a camera to get reference anyway in the first place, so I mean it's all very similar. But this is pretty awesome. And then also just because there are other titles out there is already an Octodad.
I did not know that. So I'm probably could change the title.
Yep. So I would look into that. It's like kind of like a famous indie like a indie game.
I see.
But this is really cool. And this is like a super awesome start and everything. So I would just just keep on rolling with it and just iterate on the interactions and stuff. The only thing with interaction systems like this that is going to be a little bit painful is that when you're going to be doing your user testing, make sure to write down everything somebody tries to do and expects to happen. because it ends up kind of multiplying your work, because they're going to expect, like, if they're going to expect to have, like, to try to do certain interactions, and they might not work just because you haven't programmed them in. And so the case is you're going to need to add those in. So it just kind of expands upon it, like when you're making games like this and everything. So it's just like it takes a little bit longer. And then you have a fair amount of, like, user testing. But I mean, but that's generally how like a title like this would go. But this is pretty cool.
Thank you so much. That was great feedback. Yeah, I'll definitely think about that. Cool. Lucy, you're muted.
You're muted.
1 second.
Okay, there you go.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. It's our show now.
Yay! We took it over.
Yeah, thank you again for the feedback.
No worries. Yeah. And my ears perked up when I saw the CalArts, just because I've worked on film, on the film side before. So
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's super cool. That's super awesome.
We lost her.
Yeah, I don't know where she went.
Oh, and actually, to everybody, like, since we have the floor anyway, I kind of recommend, there's a book that just came out called A Playful Production Process that I recommend all of you take a look at, just because it's, like, super awesome. And it's written by a coworker that I had at back in Naughty Dog, but he's, like, crazy talented. He's been teaching at USC, like, so this is, like, applicable to all types of games.
Oh, awesome. What was it called again?
A Playful Production Process.
A Playful Production. Okay. Cool. Definitely check it out.
Okay, there we go. Did you have a good break? A good conversation? Just to keep things interesting. Anyway, Getting back to things. Yes, I was in the metaverse. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Juan, for that. Thanks for keeping everybody entertained while I was gone. So, yes, everyone, I do apologize about that. It seems like last week my computer didn't like me, and this week my internet doesn't like me. So it's okay. We'll just continue, and that's how we do. Am I right? I think this is a way of the universe telling us that we need to start doing demo days in VR, because in VR it's going to work a lot better than in normal reality. So there you go. All right, thank you, Anna. That was brilliant. And then now we have Joseph Johnson, Legend of Tusk, a VR RPG hero versus villain game. The goal is to retrieve the Tusk. All right, so I'm going to get Joseph here. Hey, Joseph.
Hello. Hi, Lucy.
Hi. So I'm going to upload your video now to see if it can start loading.
Sounds good.
Slowly. So may the streaming gods be with us. Okay, let me pause.
Okay.
And then I will bring your slides back up again.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
All right, so Joseph Johnson, and I am actually I've actually been in the tech space for a long time. I've been a software developer for over 20 years, mainly on the web and web services and services side of things. And so my passion or my desire has always been to get into game development, since the beginning. So I started out about 2 years ago with an idea of the Legend of Tusk to come up with this game. And I started out with Unity, and there were just so many blocks as far as understanding how to do it. And so I decided to go ahead and uh, get some tutoring, and that's where the where Circuit Stream came in, where I decided, okay, well, I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll learn Unity and I'll learn XR. So I came into the course, and it just opened up so many different avenues and understanding for me. And everything just took off from there. So it was a great course. Everybody, all the instructors were great, and really gave me a lot of understanding and knowledge transfer that I was able to take and put into what I have so far. And so, what I wanted to talk about as far as the process was more some of the tools that I used to address some of the challenges I had. Um, so one of my main challenges was me. Uh, I um, I had a knack for not saving, not saving my projects on a timely basis, and so a lot of time and work went away in the beginning of the process because I would Unity would crash or something would happen and I would lose work. So the first tool that you have on the next slide, is uh, just a simple free tool from the Unity asset store called autosave. And what it does is basically save every time you go in and run your project. It'll automatically save it. So that right there saved me a bunch of headache because I lost a lot of time in code doing my neglectful not saving. Um, so another thing related to that was I had some issues with source repositories. I was using GitHub and saving things to GitHub, but I quickly hit the limit for GitHub with a lot of the space that I was using as far as the assets. So I went a couple of weeks, I think, without actually saving and hit a gigantic crash and lost some more work. So the next tool I believe on there is, I think, Plastique source control. It's on the next slide, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Plastique source control was, I found out that they have a uh, free uh, side of it, pricing SKU. So I signed up for that, and that solved a lot of that. So, like I said, a lot of my challenges were self-inflicted wounds. um, so these tools kind of saved the day for me as far as going forward. The next slide is the Curve UI. This was a really neat thing that I was able to get into the project to just handle the HUD, the heads-up display, and uh, the inventory system. So this really came in handy. Just the VR experience looks really neat with this tool, and it's another tool that was on the asset store, the Unity asset store. The next slide is uh, a plug for a Humble Bundle. um, it's a site where you can find a bunch of tools, assets, um, that are valued at really, really valuable tools. You can see some of the things that I downloaded were the RPG Fantasy Pack, the Protofactor Sci-Fi Pack was pretty expensive, and the Cyrenix Inspector. Those tools I was able to actually get, if you go to the next slide, from Humble Bundle for only $60.
Oh,
You
wow.
basically, yeah, you basically donate. A lot of the creators will, I guess you could call it, donate to the Humble Bundle cause, and so they put it up there in a big bundle of items, and you basically donate to Humble Bundle a certain amount, and you get to pick, and you get those assets. And you see, I spent about $60 for about $1,700 worth of
Wow.
assets, and I was really able to use a lot of it in this project. So, uh, like I said, that's a great tool. I wanted to share that with everyone who's maybe looking for some low cost ways of getting assets.
For sure.
So the next one is the Hurricane VR. This was something that my one-on-one instructor, Nakisa, suggested. Um, and it really, I love it. It was great. It has so much benefit. Uh, and you'll see the interactions inside the demo video, but there's a lot of stuff that came with it. Um, the only downside to it was the documentation. And so documentation was a little bit sparse on it. So it's a bit of a ramp up when you go to use it to try and understand how it works and everything. But once you get it working and you understand how it works, it's a really cool tool. It does a lot of the hand posing where you can take the hands and pose them around different objects, assets within the game, and different models. And once you grab them using the system, you see it take that form of the pose. So it's pretty cool, and it's really easy to use once you learn it. And so the next slide is kind of just going over the challenges. Like I said, the Hurricane VR was the lack of documentation. It was kind of hard to just ramp up, but once I got it, it's a great tool. And of course, the Unity crashes that I had where I wasn't saving, so it happens, and you just got to be prepared for it. So source control. And then GitHub. This is a bit hyperbolic of me. It's not designed for Unity projects. It is, but like I said, I ran into a bit of a problem with the size requirements, so I had to move to plastic, and that solved the problem. And then the last challenge was time.
Hmm.
I just ran out of time. There was a bunch of stuff that I really wanted to get into the demo that I wasn't able to actually address and get in, and then some of the stuff that I did get in, I didn't get to fully finish. I just ran into the time gremlin. So those were the challenges. A lot of the other challenges, all the instructors, Nikisa, Cash, and Ozzy really helped a lot with
Nice.
understanding. So especially in VR, it was great. I loved the course, and just had a great time learning.
That's wonderful to hear, Joseph. I'm super excited to show your video. Shall we do it?
Sure, let's go.
Awesome. Whoa, drop the mic. So many people are like, coming soon to a theater near you.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Round of applause. Round of applause to Joseph. Alrighty, any questions from the audience?
Pretty good. How are you?
I think they're just awestruck. So let's get experience it in IMAX. Let's get Juan up on here.
How things been? It seems like we haven't met in a while.
Hey Juan.
Hey, how's it going? So yeah, so that's super cool, especially since it's all by your lonesome, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the probably one of the one of the big feedback I'm going to give you is that to doing a title like this at the is it depends if you're going to want to take this to market. It's going to be a lot of work, and but I'm sure you know that and everything because you're going to want to take every little piece of your mechanics and keep on iterating on those. But like what you have there is you have a lot, and it's a pretty good base, and it's pretty awesome. The things that I would watch out for, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is the accessibility thing. Is that you have the smooth walk movement, which so you might want to take a look at the like adding blinders for people and or seeing if your combat actually maybe supports like the addition of teleportation as well. It makes sense for some titles. Some titles, depending on how the combat's constructed, it might not work out. But at least like the blinders and everything, and have that as an option to turn off and on, because you're gonna make a lot of. Unfortunately, there's a large percentage of people who get motion sick within VR. The other thing too is a lot of these open world like and or like outside asset projects is that you might run into problems with performance, especially if you're going to try to go to lower end hardware like a Quest, just because you're going to probably have like a GPU bottleneck if you're going to try having real-time shadows and stuff, and so you might want to take a look into like simplifying things, like as far as like doing things like projection blob shadows for underneath the characters, and other things that are maybe a little bit cheaper, just to make sure that you're hitting your frame rate on whatever your target systems are going to be. That, and then also when you kind of mentioned about like wanting to work in games, I mean, but you've been doing software dev for a long time, like I would again maybe take a look at even doing I've always really enjoyed working in enterprise, partially because a lot of times they'll pay me more and I'll have a 40-hour work week, and that'll give me time to actually go ahead and work on my personal projects on the side. And so, I mean, you can still do like the game dev stuff and it'll be enjoyable, but then, have a slightly better quality of life than working at a VR game studio, which, can be a little bit painful depending on where you go and everything. So it's just like that. But, it just really depends what you want to do with your career and what your goals are and everything. So it's just like, and but yeah, this is really awesome though. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah. Great, good life tips there, I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
Always good to know. Well, thank you so much, Joseph. Thank you, Juan. That was brilliant. And now so that's it in terms of student projects. And next, we have Ozzy here. Let's do Nakisa first. So we're going to go over the class projects. So these are the ones that were put together collectively and collaboratively. So first we have Nakisa Donnelly, aka Pun Queen. She's one of our instructors, as well as a VR and AR developer. She's a Holland's a Magic League professional and occasionally part of a circus. And she can swallow fire, eat fire. Am I right, Nakisa?
Yes, that is true. Maybe one day I'll do that in VR.
Yeah, or like when in your intro, when you come on stage, you just go, like
right,
yeah, here I am. It's like, attention grabber,
Yeah, this is what you're going to be learning today.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I'll be demoing the final project of the July cohort here. It's called Breakout, and it's
Dun, dun, dun.
yeah, where you break a lot of stuff, and it's like a escape room, but it's like a combination of a break stuff to escape, and then like Alice in Wonderland, drink something to get bigger, drink something to get smaller, and you have to solve this little problem and find the locker potion and all that stuff. So, without further ado, I will demo it. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yep, all good.
Awesome. So, let's play Breakout. So we learned a lot of things in this. We learned game flow and game design and some nice shader stuff. And yeah, so there's
Squid Game in VR.
Yeah. So this is Breakout, and I'll just begin the game. So we have some nice UI. We explored using our own tech stuff to create some nice little UI here. So we have start. So I'm going to start here. And here we are. So we are in the first room where we're going to just break stuff. So I'm going to break this one. And that one broke too. And then we're going to break this one. And eventually that door will open when I break enough stuff. Oh. Hold on. There we go. And then we'll break this one. And then we'll break these. So it's basically like a rage room where you can just break stuff. Because who doesn't like to break stuff in VR? There's that one. Eventually this one will break. Or not. Come on. There we go. So it's very much physics-based, breaking stuff. And these ones you can actually pour. And you can see a nice little liquidy shader here. This is using shader graph. And you can pour it out.
Nice.
And then pour. And then break stuff. And then when you break this one, when it's full, ooh, went somewhere. And then we'll break this one. Here, I'll just stand up. And then there we go.
Nice.
There it is. So now it's open. So now I'm just going to teleport over here. And these are the potions. So I can see my unlocker potion up there. And I see that that is way too high for me to get at. So I'm going to use these potions. Now, I don't remember which potion is which one. But I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try this one. So now I'm going to drink it. Let's see what happens. So this does nothing, so it must return me to normal. So let's do this one. And we'll, whoop, there we go. There we go.
Oh.
Try it. And there's an unlocker potion there, so I'm going to go over there and grab it. So it's kind of like BFG, Big Friendly Giant. So I'm going to grab it. There we go. There we go. And now I'm going to grab one of these potions and return me to normal. I think it's the blue one. There we go. So now I'm going to drink it. There we go. Hey, nice. So now I'm going to go over here. And we have some other potions there. And then we see a chemistry set. So obviously, we have to pour potions in chemistry sets. So this chemistry set was actually created by a student in the class. And we see that the door is closed right over there to escape. So now I'm a little bit small, but I think I can reach it. So I'm going to move up here, pour it down there. And there it is. We have escaped. Boom. Yeah.
Victory.
And then we can go explore the horizon. And oh, so beautiful. Beautiful. Ah.
I love that.
And that is the final project.
Breakout.
Breakout.
Breakout. And Nakisa will be doing the trailer for that one. And she'll be doing the voices.
In a world.
Divided by fear.
And breaking stuff.
Anger management 101.
In VR.
In VR. Alrighty, so any questions from the audience? I don't see any. We'll give them a moment, but let's get Juan up on here because I'm sure he'll have lots of great feedback.
Sure.
Hey, so this is super cool. I'm digging it.
Nice.
The only thing that I would probably give is the just because you do have some gating mechanics, like if somebody walks in a room, they don't quite know what to do. Well, I mean, it's in the name breakout, or like, but I would maybe on the door like have some type of feedback saying that they need to do X amount of something, or like some feedback of what they need to do the gating to get the door to open. Otherwise, it might get like a little bit frustrating for people. But aside from that, yeah, this is super cool. And then also on the same note that I gave before on the accessibility front is that when you're changing the heights and stuff, that could be something that might make people sick. And then also with just the general stick movement and everything as well. So. But aside from that, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm digging it.
Nice. Thank you.
Awesome. Congrats to Nakisa and her class. That was brilliant. Woo, 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 woo.
The class was great. The class was brilliant.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. And now we have next up is Ozzy. Ozzy, or known as Usman Mir, is a lead instructor and exo developer at Circus Dream. Ozzy has over 10 years of music experience, 7 years of exo development, and he's in a jazz band and plays the drums. So he and Akisa, we've got a band going, we've got a performance going. Am I right, Ozzy?
Yes, indeed.
Cool. Take it away.
All right, you betcha. Let me share my screen here. All right, you can see that all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So our project was really based on the idea of a Rube Goldberg, and it kind of evolved over time into kind of like a build your own roller coaster experience. So we got the main gist of it right. The idea is that you're inside of a little train cart, one of those things in a mine where you would put all the stones and push it down the cart. That would be the idea. You're in there. And this straight thing here is meant to be a track. So some of our students actually replaced the model placeholders that I was using in class with the actual train track models assets that are available online, and some made their own. I showed how to make one in Blender, so it was good. We went over shaders quite a bit in class just because people were really interested in them. So a little extra stuff we did here and there. And so this one in particular, Marine wanted to cover was, going through a gradient that's a Fresnel effect on an object there. So the idea is you have with your left controller, you press down the joystick, and if you move your joystick left, you pick a left turning track. If you move your joystick right, you pick a right turning track. If you don't move your joystick at all, you pick a straight track. Now, the goal is that there's obstacles along the way, and there's a big ball chasing you. So you have to do this quickly. Even I set the speed a little high, so it's a little tough for me to do. So I'm going to quickly reduce the speed there. I can find the track player speed there. I'm just going to reduce that a little bit. So I know I'm cheating, but bear with me. Trying to.
You've disappointed your students, Ozzy. That's all I have to say.
yeah, pretty much. Okay, but let's try it out. Get the concept across, and some of the students came up with the idea as well based on this animation. I think it was a stop motion animation where this dog is chasing after a penguin, and the dog is on a train cart and just pulling train tracks out from his backpack and just putting them in front. So yeah, it was a pretty cool concept. And Annie here was actually responsible for the UI decision on how we're going to.
Wow.
Yeah, she was the one who
Nice.
picked how we're choosing the tracks to lay down. So here, hopefully I can do this well enough. All right. So one of the systems we also wanted to cover was the high score system. So that was thanks to Eli. But as you can see, if I press down my mouse, my left joystick, tracks come up. If I don't select anything, I get a straight track. If I select and then move my joystick to the left, you can see how it gets bigger. And then that's the track you end up selecting. Same thing with the right. Whichever one you are selecting, that's the one that becomes bigger. All right. And so that's the idea. You are going along a track, creating one yourself, and so forth. The idea. Oh, okay, I'm dead now. All right.
Oh no.
So the high score would be updated. I think I have it.
Oh, you just muted yourself. Wait. I think your mic disconnected itself.
Oh,
There.
you?
Yeah.
What was the last thing I said? Did you heard?
Yeah, the high score and then gone.
Did you hear me explain while I was going around the track at least?
Yeah. It was just
I thought
after
it
you
was like
died.
the first thing I said, and then you disconnected.
Oh no.
Okay, yeah. So that was the idea. The high score needs to be linked up. This is just a slightly older version of our project, but that was the goal there with that. And that's the idea. You're building a track as we go. Indiana Jones vibes, indeed.
Yeah. You just need now the soundtrack.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So it was fun working on that UI element there. That concept of how you can select an item using your joystick, and some shader stuff, and yeah, building the tracks. How to set up that kind of system where you have, an object starting at the edge here, and then when you place a new one down, it's lining up with the edge on the other side, and how that looks seamless and all that stuff. But yeah, so that was that idea.
Brilliant. All right, let's get Juan here.
Hey, so yeah, so that's neat novel. I'm digging on that. It's the whole the Wallace and Gromit train from Rom Trousers and everything when they're laying on the track where they're going forward. So yeah, that's pretty fun. It's definitely a good base. I would give the players maybe some goals or some pickups or other things that they need to try to aim for and everything. So there's a little bit more than just to the scoring than just laying down the different tracks and stuff, and or like before you fall off. But it's definitely cool, and it's and then also I would just add the same comment that I gave others about the accessibility and adding like the blinders and stuff for something like that.
Right. And that was definitely a concern with our students, and that's why we wanted to make this train cart that you're inside of. And then the train cart has like these this kind of a roof thing for you, so that your view is not full free view. We were talking about this airplane game, how that had 3 levels of comfort, where you're either freely in this biplane and you can see everything, or there's a little bit of a structure in there, or there's like total side view of the plane is blocked and you can just see through the front window.
Oh,
so
that's
yes,
cool.
100%. That's a great idea.
Awesome. But yeah, aside from that, this is pretty cool. So keep on going. This is sweet.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ozzy. Thank you, Juan. Next, we will see it in a theater near you as the bonus track to the Indiana Jones movie. Who knows? Alrighty. So next, last but not least, we have Cash Garman. Cash is an XR developer and instructor at Circuit String, has over 50 years of experience in the games industry, formerly University of Lincoln and University of Sussex instructor, and briefly held the world record for most consecutive days committing changes to GitHub by a human. So there you go. All righty, let's get Cash. No. Yes. All right, Cash, take it away.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hey, good, how are you?
Oh, I feel a bit ill, actually. I forgot this game makes me feel sick when I play it, so bear with
Okay.
me. So, yeah, the game that my students came up with, or we all came up together, had some basic ideas. So, we wanted to have a space game in VR, and the idea is that your spaceship is a complete piece of shit, and it's falling apart constantly. So you're trying to planet hop your way home to your home planet while keeping your spaceship held together with duct tape, effectively. That was the kind of general premise of it. We wanted to have procedurally generated planets. We wanted to have dynamic music. That was really important to my students.
Mm-hmm.
So a very strong soundscape. And it was meant to be very difficult to control the ship. It's not a great ship, some kind of heirloom or something, hand me down. And so it has kind of controls a bit similar to Lunar Lander in 3D. If anybody is old enough to remember Lunar Lander, it was tough to control. You kind of had to balance your ship in 2D as it came down and thrust and you land it. This is the same thing you had before in 3 dimensions, so it's quite tricky. So if I do fail miserably, it's because it's really hard. So
Excuses.
It's really hard. Definitely, that's the reason that I'm going to fail miserably. It's also you have to really focus on it. So if I go quiet, stop in the middle of an explanation or something, it's because I'm trying not to crash. But I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this will work okay. I can share my sounds, I think. Can I not?
Yes, I think if you share your screen, it should be okay. It'll automatically show the sound.
Okay, share screen. Add screen, share audio. All right, that should do the trick.
All right, let me bring it up.
All right.
And we see it.
Okay, so I need to do this in order here. I want to get more full screen. So I'm going to hit play here, pop over to here, and do this. Is that frame rate okay?
Looks okay.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Okay, so the music, the way we did the dynamic music. Okay, so this is a randomly generated planet. This one looks a bit like Mars. It's got an atmospheric shader going on, so when you land, that gets thicker. You can't see the stars as well anymore. This is the cockpit HUD. I'm in the cockpit right now, and I can control around, which I'll do in a second. So this is our layout of our systems and so on. Right now, because I'm in space, it says here my status is I'm in orbit. So it's playing a very ambient version of this music. Each planet has its own music. As I approach the planet, I'm constantly calculating our altitude. Once we reach a certain point, I'll lose control of my space engines, and I only have atmospheric control, which is a lot trickier. That's when I have to figure out how to land, basically. But also the music, you'll notice when I come into the atmosphere onto what it calls the approach, the music changes. So listen out for that as well. This is a bit where I have to shut up and focus. It's hard. This is also using planetary gravity, so the gravity is completely spherical, which means once I get out and walk around the planet, I can walk all the way around the planet and I won't fall off like Australia. So I'm taking it easy here because when I have to transition into one of a horizontal, maintain my speed. Don't want to mess up for the first planets. So. Oh, that was rough. This way. Okay, the reason it's really hard is, let me turn that down a little bit. Is that quieter?
Not really.
Okay. Let me turn it down in, I can't really turn it down. So I'll just shout. So, the way that the controls work is I have 4 thrusters. You can see the thrusters there and there. they are controlled with the triggers and the grip control, so it's quite tricky to kind of finesse this thing into a landing. Now I have landed. Is it too loud? Can you hear me speak still?
It's still too loud, yeah.
That better?
Okay. Yeah, better.
I'll switch that back on the next planet. So as I was saying, the controls for this are tricky because the front two triggers control the front two thrusters, and the grips control the rear two thrusters. So you kind of, it's a balancing act. But it's meant to be hard because if I put my headset back on, you can see a lot of my thrusters are a little bit banged up. And you can see here my warp core is charging. It's almost charged. I can't leave this planet to the next planet until that thing's finished charging. So you have some time on your hands here. So if you walk around the planet, you can pick up all this scrap metal, which is just in the form of barrels, but that's what we're dealing with. So you can see I'm going to the dark side of the planet now. Rise in there. My favorite place to look for scrap is in craters because they'll get spawned in space, and then I use a ray cast to bring them down near the surface, and then they roll the rest of the way. So you find them a lot in little piles in the bottom of craters. But I need this scrap. You can see I've got a little display on my wrist here that points me back toward my ship because it's really easy to get lost. And you can see how far away from my ship is. You can see how charged your warp core is, how much scrap you're carrying. I have 6. That should be enough because that landing wasn't actually awful. So I can see, I can come back to my ship. I want to go around and quickly fix my engines because I need them to take off. That wasn't too bad. So you can see the engines are slightly on fire, but they're not too banged up. I'm pretty proud of myself for that landing.
Yeah.
But the next planet isn't so easy. Oh, this one's a bit damaged. There's a lot of dynamic sound in this as well. So if you do crash, you roll around, you hold these like bangs and thuds of like metal creaking and stuff. That's all procedural sound too. So now I can now use my thrusters to take off. I'll turn the music on in a second. It's a bit noisy, but I want to show you the music for the next one. And get into orbit. And I can use my normal engines to get away from the planet. Just spin the ship around. And now it's saying I can use B to activate my warp drive. So I'll do that just in 1 second. Just going to pop the music back on. I'm not going to deafen you. I'll just do it. Planet. Because there's some funky sound effects that are going to warp. So there we go. Okay, so now I've got a procedurally generated moon. This one has no atmosphere. It's a lot smaller. These planets are absolutely tiny. As you notice, you can walk around them in like 2 minutes. I'll try to do this one as a speed run, but it's probably going to end in tears. And me destroying my ship completely. And tilt up. And thrusters burn. Oh, that wasn't that bad actually. I'm pretty proud of that. So again, the music as I landed, it changed, and my ship's not doing too bad. I probably have enough scrap to fix, almost enough scrap to fix it from the last planet. But I also want to show you quickly the final planet. Is the richest music of all of the planets. So I need to start off one. And I'll go for Q&A.
Awesome.
So I'm not gonna try. This is the hardest one to land on. It's got strong gravity. It's a lot of water. I always mess it up. I'll give it a shot, but it's gonna end in tears probably.
Looks like a modified Earth.
This is a very Earth-like planet, and when you see the atmosphere blend in as I get closer, and you can see the stars start to fade away. Also, you can see a klaxon went off. This is gonna be interesting. This is how most of my landings go. So, I mean, theoretically, once it rolls to a stop, it's still considered landed, usually.
Okay.
But taking off's a bit of a bastard, so I let my ship just roll around for a bit there. It's underwater, apparently, too. It doesn't help. I think you can breathe underwater in this game.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna feel that now. So yeah,
awesome.
Pretty much a full game. Things we're going to do add more props, more decorations for the planet, of trees and boulders and other kinds of scrap and interesting stuff, power ups and stuff. But yeah, it was really fun to make. It was really cool making a dynamic music system with like blending different stems from different instruments depending on the situation. How am I doing for time? I got lost in that thing.
Yeah, we're almost out of time, but
Well,
it's part of it.
To include, my students did not name it the game, so I decided to call it the USS Pos.
Okay.
Read into that what you will.
Cool. So are you ready for Juan? Let's get him up on stage.
Hey, mate.
So yeah, so that rocks. That's pretty cool. Like having everything, end to end. That's pretty cool. The only feedbacks I would give or you already know that the game makes you sick. So yeah, so I would definitely try to figure out how to work that so it doesn't make people have accessibility options, because some people do like having the experience that kind of makes it that they crank it up, like the people who do the roller coasters, but then have the options for the rest of us who get motion sickness. And the other side would be maybe have like detail maps on the planets, just like a triplanar, just so you can have a little bit more, tell a little bit more where you are when you're moving. So that would be the only other things. But yeah, this is pretty cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Congrats, Cash, and to your students, and thank you, Juan. So that actually wraps up all of our students and their work. I'm going to just bring everybody up here on stage again so we can give them a big round of applause. So if you're in the chat, I invite you to do chat claps. Oh, look at that. And did we lose Eli? I don't see him here. Well, everybody, a huge round of applause. You did amazing. Thank you so much. Congrats. Snap claps. And to Eli as well. Sorry he couldn't be here. Okay, so, this is the congrats page. There we go. All right, so I know we are at the end time, but I'm just going to take 5 minutes to quickly wrap up. Great, Eli, you're there. Okay, I don't see you in here, but a big round of applause to you as well. And thanks again, Juan. I really appreciate you joining us. I think it's really valuable to have your expertise, and yeah, we hope to see you again next time.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. So if you are, we're going to go to our prize draw. Yay. So Denny, so you envy all of them. Well, you can become like them as well. So I have here the names of students who filled out our survey. And we have some feedback surveys throughout the course. And so the more feedback surveys that students fill out, the bigger the chances they have of getting the prize. So I'm going to go to the random number generator here and see how many students we have. We have 58. So I'm going to draw a number from between 1 and 58. 46, who's a lucky winner? Sebastian. Congrats, Sebastian. So I'm gonna let Sebastian know. Sebastian won a 90-minute one-on-one session with one of our experts. So congrats, Sebastian. That's awesome. All right, so let's go back here. So if you are interested in what our students did and you'd like to learn about that as well and create some awesome projects, we invite you to take our Expert Development with Unity course. It's the same one that the students took. It is beginner friendly. You get to make AR and VR on Unity, as you saw. You get 3 hours of live instruction per week, as well as 5 office hours per week. And these are drop-in, and you work with instructors to work through all of the troubleshooting that you get, as some of the students mentioned. The course is flexible part-time. You have lifetime access to the recordings after the live classes. It's portfolio based, so you do come up with, you come out of the class with a series of projects that you get to show your skills through. So one of them is the class project, for example. You also get industry recognized certifications, and you can add on a weekly one-on-one support time to work on a personal project, which is what these students did. So something exciting. So for the next cohort on November 30th, the first 10 students will get access to 10% off. So if this is something that you want to do, now is a great time to take advantage of it. So as I mentioned, you do get access to the certification. So we have our own, and you can take the Unity exam to get their certification as well. If you're interested in taking a look at the syllabus or would like to apply, you can go to our website at circuitstream.com/learning. And if you'd like to know more about the course, either the XR Dev course, which is this course, or the design course, you can come to one of our open houses where we're going to be talking a little bit more detail about these courses. So October 20th at 12 p.m. Pacific is the design one, and November 4th at the same time as the XR Dev one. And that's everyone. Definitely join us on Slack so we can stay connected. And I'm going to share the link so you all can join us. We have weekly events, which are super cool that you can join. You can talk to our instructors, you can talk to other students. And then I definitely welcome you all to join us in Altspace VR. So let me post the instructions here in the chat as well. All right, so the instructions are there. Thank you so much again for attending, and I hope to see you in the post-show discussion or next time. Bye, everyone.